Today's film is brought to you by the letter Y, and it's Year of the Dragon from 1985.
I'm gonna burn you down.
So this is the Warner Archive Collection edition that came out just last year, and the visual and the audio presentation of the film is quite good. There's just a single disc in here. There's an audio commentary track by director Michael Cimino that's pretty informative, followed by a theatrical trailer. And a special note of interest to those of you who are interested in this movie, I read in an article just earlier today that there's going to be an Australian release of this movie come December, and it's going to have a whole plethora of additional extra features. So if you do like this movie, potentially hold off a few months and then pick up the Aussie version, because it looks like it's going to be superior compared to this one. Year of the Dragon is the controversial story of the relationship between Chinatown's sovereign leaders and the New York City Police Department. Much like nearby Little Italy, Chinatown is run by its inhabitants, called the Chinese Triad, and these guys are the ones who call the shots. While the old-timers are law-abiding, apparently at face value, the youth gangs are seemingly out of control. Mickey Rourke plays Stanley White, an honest but ornery cop from Brooklyn brought into the city to get a handle on the rampant extortion and corruption, which the majority is being committed by the ambitious Joey Tai, played by John Lone.
This is it. I'll give it to you fast. There's a new marshal in town. Me.
Tai is connected to a large enterprise shipping heroin from Thailand to the US, and White is hot on his tail. He teams up with a reporter named Tracy Zhu, played by an actress simply called Ariane. The two develop a contentious and volatile relationship that verges on the laughable at times due to the implausibility of it.
Bosses that own the places. You splash their faces on the tube. Take a little journalistic license, you know what I mean? Each week we peel another layer off the onion. I mean, if it was some white broad, they'd say it's racist, but with you, they gotta figure it's on the up and up.
Stanley resents the Chinese and isn't afraid to espouse his disdain for them. At dinner one night, some youths come into the restaurant and shoot it up. Wounded, the gunmen are held up at an apartment and Joey goes to see them. Cimino takes us right into these tight quarters with fascinating camera work that is bewildering and at the same time original. Joey determines that the shooters have become a liability and forces the gang to take them out. After discovering the shooters deep in the basement of a Chinatown factory, Stanley confronts Joey and issues a warning.
I'll take the same amount that you're gonna make off your next 50 keys of heroin.
With an unspoken agreement between NYPD and the leaders of Chinatown, once dictated that no outside influence would be used, White calls off that agreement and declares war on Chinatown.
I give a shit. I'm gonna make you people give a shit. I don't care what you think of me. You guys are gonna go through the numbers on this one. Now that's it, get out of here.
And with Tracy in his corner, portraying the chaos of the neighborhood on live television to the viewer, Stanley thinks he's got the
White has
problem
padlocked
figured
his
out.
restaurants on a health violation. Needless to say, a crackdown is in the works, and although distant...
Meanwhile, Joey is conspiring with the Italian mob to make sure that business continues as usual. He also contacts the mayor, and Stanley has to relinquish his stronghold. Frustrated, he seeks the comfort of Tracy's arms and goes to her.
I just want to be with somebody tonight.
Joey goes to Thailand and meets with White Powder Ma, his heroin distributor. Back at home, Stanley is having marital problems with his wife, Connie. She knows of Stanley's affair with the reporter and is deeply offended by it. But before we can really get to the heart of the matter, a few of the youth break into Stanley's home and attacks them. Connie is killed. Stanley gets the drop on one of them and chases the other one down in a rather hasty fashion. White and his partner take on Herbert Kwong, an immigrant, to help them unveil the location of Joey Thai's shipment. They enlist the help of nuns who speak Chinese and set up surveillance and wiretaps on Joey. They know that the drugs are coming in by ship, but they do not know exactly which one. Joey gets word that there's an informant working in one of his kitchens, and it's true. Herbert is found out and ordered to be murdered. And as he lies dying in Stanley's arms, he tells him the location of the ship. Stanley goes on the rampage to confront Joey Thai.
You and me gonna have a little talk about Herbert Kwong.
But before he can beat a confession out of him, two girls from the youth gang shoot at Stanley, and a chase is on.
Let's try this. I'm begging you. Come on, Joey. Call a cop. Let's go to court. Come on. I'm begging you. Go on, now, Stan.
Meanwhile, as a show of force, Thai has sent more of the gang after Tracy. After being attacked and raped by the gang, she tells Stanley that she cannot be involved anymore in this expose of Chinatown. With the location now known to him, Stanley goes to the shipyard to intercept the incoming cargo. He surprises Joey and they shoot it out. After a long and somewhat surreal chase on a rail line bridge, Joey is severely wounded. He asks Stanley for his gun. To die with honor is customary in Chinese tradition, so Stanley obliges him and Joey shoots himself. The movie ends with more roundups of the youth gangs and Stanley and Tracy walking off together. The Year of the Dragon was a movie that was notoriously criticized for two reasons, mainly for its vilification of the Chinese people, but it also for the perceived ineptitude of director Michael Cimino and with his epic failure of the movie Heaven's Gate. Cimino accomplishes great feats in this movie. He takes viewers deep into the recesses with claustrophobic camera work that I have not seen in a lot of movies. If anyone is to be blamed for the film's poor showing critically and commercially, I think it's likely to be due to Oliver Stone's screenwriting, which is slightly over the top and, to be honest, at times a little redundant. I've not read the novel by author Robert Daley, but I imagine that something crucial was lost in the adaptation. I suppose that there's also a lot going on and not enough explanation given to people for them to get too involved in the movie's plot, And up to a point, I agree with that, but the film is prolific in its story, and even if it was 4 hours long, I doubt that would be enough time to cover everything that's involved. For example, the side story with Stanley's wife and their unhappy marriage was really interesting to me, and I wished it was a little more fleshed out, but I get the impression that Cimino wanted to keep the movie under 2 hours, and even still, with the clock running, it still comes in at about 2 hours and 15 minutes. And as I've said in my review of Pope of Greenwich Village, Mickey Rourke at the time of this film displayed incredible star power, and he absolutely commands the screen presence. Year of the Dragon is an aggressive, riveting, and engrossing drama. Much like Rourke's Tale of Woe, so too does this mirrors that of Cimino's, I think, who apart from The Deer Hunter and then this, really didn't have much of a career, which is pretty unfortunate because Year of the Dragon really should have solidified his position in the directorial world as a rank contender.
This is not the Bronx or Brooklyn. It's not even New York. It's Chinatown, Pike. It can be very easy or it can be very hard.
That's all for this time. We'll see you next time when we go to the movies.